And we're off to the races. Okay, Fawzi, why don't you talk a little bit about how you got your start, not only in music, but how you developed an interest in the art form of jazz?
Yes, Tom, as I told you, I started playing the guitar in college. I picked up the guitar when I heard once a young player playing a chord, and as we don't have at all harmony in our culture, in our audio surrounding. First time I heard this E major basic chord on guitar, and first time I heard the guitar actually, I fell in love with the guitar and with Western music. That was how it started all. And from that time, I started, playing the guitar, and I did a few bands, and we played in balls and dancing while we were at college.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it all started, the beginning, very beginning.
And then you ended up
sorry?
Then you ended up in England performing. You were on tour in England?
That's afterwards. I'm talking about 65. I was almost 15, 17.
Uh-huh.
I was very, very young, and I started playing the guitar that way. But when I was in my 23, I went to England. And then I became a professional. I was hired by band, Italian, French, Tunisian band, and we went to England because we had a beautiful contract. It works like 6 months contract, 6 nights a week.
Oh.
And, financially it was very appealing, especially as we were also still a student studying. I was studying the university in Tunis, and we had this opportunity to visit England, which also is the highlight for a rock lover, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We are in 73, 74. And in England, of course, I started visiting places, venues such as bars where they used to hire trios, piano trios, acoustic with double bass and drums. And I fell in love with this kind of music, It really appealed to me a lot. And I used to learn a lot from hearing and listening to main piano players and main trios at the place where I used to work, to play.
So who were your main influences on guitar? Who were you listening to? What jazz guitarists were you listening to?
Of course, I started with Django Reinhardt.
Uh-huh.
He was the closest, the nearest. But after a while, I discovered Joe Pass.
Uh-huh.
Joe Pass, and also Wes Montgomery.
Okay.
We could. I started buying, long play. LPs, and one of the first LP I bought and really was a great influence on me was Wes Montgomery Tequila. I don't know if you recall this album. Yeah. It's a big band actually, and I was just knocked down from this sound, Also, I discovered, of course, all the modern ones, such as Jim Hall, and later on, of course, the younger generation, John Scofield, Pat Metheny, and so on. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So when did you end up going back to Tunisia?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Oh, when did you were in England, you were listening to a lot of jazz there, you're playing gigs. When did you go back to Tunisia, and what was the jazz scene like in Tunisia when you went back in the 70s?
Yes, when I went back, it was a couple of years ago because I remained there 2 years. I planned to, with a few friends, to make a band who is very close to the format of Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Mhm.
You know, with saxophone, trombone, and trumpet.
Uh-huh.
And we call that Cartago. It's a reminiscent of Chicago, maybe. Chicago, you know, the band,
Yes.
the Chicago Transit Authority. And we did a lot of concerts, and we were playing our own compositions. We did even a record. We went to Paris to record this record. It's very interesting, but very close to jazz in the changes, you know, the chords, and it has this approach. And we were beginning to love jazz, to fall in love with jazz, but we have still one foot rock and roll and pop, and one foot jazz, you know.
So I'm looking at your discography here. There's something you did in 1976 called Alec.
Alish, that's it, yeah.
And what is that? Is that more of a rock thing, or is that part of the jazz rock?
Yeah, it's kind of Afro-Cuban 6/8 rhythm, and very easy composition, but very catchy, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the title of the song is Why. Alish in Tunisian means why, and that was the time where we were student and asking plenty of questions, you know.
And there's another recording in 1988 called Discoveries '88.
Yes, that's right. We did that with Radio France International. It's they have this Découverte, Discovery,
Uh-huh.
and it's based on singers who did a kind of contest, touching l'Afrique noire, Africa,
Mhm.
you know. And they came to Tunis with Manu Dibango to do the final. So we were chosen with my band. At the time, I had a band called Dalton, and we were chosen to back all these artists, singers, sometimes guitar players, sometimes, but mostly singers with. And we had to back them up for a concert, but also for a recording. And it was a beautiful experience. And after this experience, the manager of this project said, okay, Dalton will be also featured as a discovery, even if we didn't do the contest itself, you know. So it was very interesting, this Découverte 88 discovery.
All right, I'm looking at some of your other recordings here. Um, there's a Netherlands project, Austrian project, there's a Belgian project, and there's a project you did in Rome. And how did that all come about?
Yes, it is. When I started to play jazz on my own, or under my own name, of course, I had all these compositions and also this will to play with traditional musicians, but also with jazz musicians. And I had this need, maybe inner need, to put these people together and do something. And the first album I played was Takassim, which I made with Tunisian players, traditional and also jazz players, and musicians from the Netherlands. And I wrote tunes that could be both traditional and also very easy to improvise on for let's say a saxophonist or a piano player. But it was my very first album under my name, and it was a success because musicians here in Tunisia said, "Wow, what's happening there?" It's very, very, very unusual. And also for the people who come from abroad, it's very new. It was very new. And one guy, when I started playing with this Discovery 88, there's one guy from radio, RFI, Radio France Internationale, who said to me, if you need to do something with this music, this kind of music, you have to do it right now. And I played this, I did this record, Takassim, which was really a success.
That's great. And then you did another record in 1998, Bedouin. And you're using oud on these recordings as well. So when did you incorporate the traditional instrument of oud into your music performance?
Yes, the oud has always appealed to me, as I explained to you. The oud has the intonation and this. It's like it's very close to the fretless bass or the trombone or whatever, and it has a good, very good. You can express yourself. It's like a human voice, It's you can get very close to the traditional, our traditional music and phrasing. But in my side, I wanted also to keep the harmony, the Western harmony, and jazz chords, and that's what I wanted to do. And sometimes I use the oud. And the first thing I did with Takassim, as it was my very first record in this style, I tried to invent the oud J, coming from oud and J from guitar, So I bought an Epiphone 12-string neck. Shall I show it to you right now?
Please. Yes, please. Okay.
So here you have, I will get a oud body, traditional oud body, and I mounted this Epiphone 12-string guitar, on which I took away the frets here, so I have a fretless part. But starting from here, I get back to the Western, you know, so I can play chords, play Western melodies, but here I can use quatertone, you know, and modes, Arabic modes, and of course this gives the sound of it has a very special sound. It's very close to the oud, but also it's reminiscent of maybe Greek instruments, such as bouzouki. I don't know if you know this instrument, because I also, in my experiments, I mounted steel strings, but then I changed my mind and mounted gut strings. Experiments. It's still an experiment. It's still because I think it needs to be maybe maybe good luthier and a guy who wants to invest himself can make something good out of it.
Let's talk.
But if you like, I have a little anecdote. Because very nice. I told you, the guy who made this is a guitar player. And he says, okay, I will help you doing this. So he did a lot of reinforcement here, because this is very fragile.
Okay.
Very fragile. And the neck here is very, very long. So he was very invested, and he did a lot of. But when I went, before I get to this guy, I went to luthier, and I said, "Can you help me doing this idea?" So everybody says no. Nobody wanted to go into this. We only do traditional oud, and that's it. So I was very happy to find this guy who unfortunately disappeared. He died about 10 years ago, but he helped me a lot.
So let's talk a little bit about the jazz scene in Tunisia back in the 80s and early 90s, when you kind of like the pioneer jazz artist there, and where it is now in the 21st century here. How has it developed? What was it like back then, and what is it like now?
You're talking about Tunisia or
in Tunisia? Yes.
In Tunisia, okay. Yes. Let me put back this.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, I think jazz is getting much better now in Tunisia, because in my generation, we were only maybe 5, 6 people who played jazz, and not all of them have stayed in Tunisia. Most of them went to abroad, to the States or Europe, and I was maybe one of the very few who remained here in Tunis to start playing, and also giving lessons, and working with artists and trying to bring them here and play concerts with them here in Tunis, and also inside the country.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very nice, but I was one of the very few who do this. But now I'm happy because when I go back uh, and watch what's going on now, I am very happy because now we have jazz club, the Tunis Jazz Club. We have many venues. We have plenty of musicians who are very really interesting, who are studying abroad in Belgium, in Europe, or even in the States. And I think the situation is getting better. In the Institut de Musique where I teach, where I do my atelier, it's a workshop, it's a weekly workshop, and we wanted to do a department, a jazz department. We were talking about for years about this, but I think as jazz is not the main local music, maybe it's sometimes okay. It's hesitating about doing, but we have a classical department. We have a classical orchestra. And one time I wanted to start a jazz band, you know, but really with a weekly rehearsal, something really settled down, you know. But it's something difficult. Maybe next generation they do that. Although I see that they have also some troubles, but that's maybe not because of the music, but it's because of this corona. And also we had, as you know, we had the famous, of course, spring revolution, and all of this make that things are very slow work. But all in all, I'm very happy about the situation in jazz here.
I met you back in 1998. I was in Tunisia with the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra, and you were sitting in with the band at a couple of concerts that we did. What was it like sitting with the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra playing the music of Thad Jones?
Unforgettable, unforgettable, and thrilling, frightening. And at the time, my friend McCready, who used to be in the American Culture Center,
yeah,
he wanted me to join the band, and I said, "Are you sure?" He said, and I sat with the band in Carthage and also in El Gem. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It's unforgettable experience. And one thing I will never forget. It's the musician. They were so nice with me, and you know that they even though I was just a guest, and I have to play a couple of tunes. They really put confidence in me, and they were so nice, you know.
yeah.
And that is new to me. That is new because jazz musicians in other places are not always very nice.
So
yeah, great experience.
I want to talk about you're also a composer, and in your compositions you're incorporating traditional Tunisian or North African music. And how did that come about, and how do you incorporate those elements into your jazz composition?
Yes, the idea, for instance, when I take, maybe I'll pick a guitar. Just to show you a few chords. And for instance, this, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear the guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. For instance, this lick here, it's based over C minor, D minor, G7. You know. So when you play Western style, you would play maybe. Thing like that. But when you play in Tunisian style, you'd play. You see, but the kind of a harmonic is the same. Sometimes, you know, I go, you know, I take it further, a third, a minor third, or, you know, I change the tonality a little bit. And there where I met difficulties with traditional musicians, such as night player, because we had to stop the machines and say, okay, now we are going to this chord here. And, but it went very well. It went very well. I have a little anecdote about this. My friend, the night player, you know, night player, when they change tonality, they take another instrument.
Okay.
Did you know that? Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but
wonderful. They have such a big a bag with plenty of bamboo knives. One is like this, the other one is bigger or thicker. And anytime we change tonality, we take a new instrument. And I did a tune where we start in C minor, then we would go to C major, then back to A flat minor, and then B minor. So it was incredible for the guy because he had to change all the time. And we were once on tour, and I asked him, why don't you try to play everything on the same bamboo? And that's what he worked on, and he succeeded. Of course, missing a few notes, you know, that he couldn't reach, but it was wonderful experience also, you know. And this guy, he says, okay, now that I can play every tonality, I only have a bamboo and I can travel the world, you know.
So listen, you're still performing now in Tunisia, and you have your family, your children are performing with you.
Yes, yes. I have my daughter who is a psychologist. She does music also as well. She plays piano and sings. And my son plays drums. And but they have different, it's very, very difficult to live with music now in Tunisia, very difficult. So fortunately, they both have jobs, day job, and but we have a band together. We have also this guy, maybe you have met, Jihad Bedoui. he's a great guitar player,
Yes,
great,
I have met him.
beautiful musician. And he plays bass with us, with the band, with my family band. And we do some either concerts or also my daughter does some compositions, and we do also some some venues for living, such as weddings and things like that. And beside this in 2000 in 90 19 sorry in I played we did a band, an organ trio with my friend Omar Elwan on organ,
And Malek.
and Malik Lahwa on drums. And we have a monthly gig we do in Dar al Marsa, a place which does some maybe 3 nights a week jazz. It's a hotel actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like the master, the mentor, working with Malek, with Omar, with a lot of young musicians. So, what is the state of the jazz scene for the young artist in Tunisia?
Now, for the time being, it's after COVID. It's very difficult for everybody. Everything has stopped. Even if sometimes we are involved into online lessons and things like that, but it's never like the real life,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit difficult for everybody now, but hopefully it will go to get back to real life. And young musicians, they are maybe struggling for 2 reasons. First reason is that they are becoming too many now. Too many jazz musicians and very few gigs being offered, that's kind of a battle, and it's not easy. Compared to back to my generation, we had plenty of work possibilities, and also concerts, and because we were very few,
Yes.
If we had a saxophone player, we would have only one or 2, not 3, So, so it's very. It was very easy at the time. Now it's not the same anymore. But it's the motivation is much bigger, and I like very much what's happening now. I guess with your project, Tom, it will also boost a little bit the scene. It's also, I recall we had in Najma Zahra in Sidi Boussaid. It's very nice palace called Najma Zahra, which is now like a museum for musical instruments.
Is
And
that,
also
that's the
sorry?
one in Abu Sayed? Is that
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You have visited once, no?
I have been
Have
there.
you been? You have been there. We used to have this cooperation with Belgium, with the Belgian musicians, and they used to come over for a week, maybe every 2-3 months. They used to come for a week or 10 days, and make a residency over there, and maybe play different concerts. Or it was wonderful, and the young people who jazz players who wanted to come there, they learned a lot because there were saxophone, trumpets who used to come and teach here. It's wonderful. And that's what we need to get back in this in the Tunisian scene, I think.
Fawzi, I think I'm going to end it here, and it was
Yeah.
certainly a pleasure talking to you. And I hope to see you soon in Tunisia, or even hopefully you can come to the States sometime.
Of course, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You
Tom.
take care and be well, be safe. And
Thank you. The same to you. I hope to hear good news from the States very soon.
Okay. You take care, my friend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best.